Gay Dave is a fucking freak, he's a cuckoo whore, and I despise him.
In this world, accessible of kindness and ethical blindness. So please excuse my sarcastic tone. I'm a bit underwhelmed by the sample shown. Mr. Bistro fraternity guy, big cup of ass with bloodshot eyes. Get drunk and fight every night. Idolize Bradley, belittle women's rights. Homophobic, racist, and don't give a fucking hey. Do you think you can drive a bigger truck? So wear your baseball cap to the side to let everyone know that you're a nice guy. So cool, was so impressed. Lots of chicks and a barrel chest. Cause you're a real man. Punch for punch, gonna piss in your face while you're passed out drunk. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. He's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. She's a nice guy, but all of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planets. Oh, I just can't understand it. What could define by deception and lies? Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics, cause everybody gets their just desserts. As long as you remember that nice guys finish. Mr. Whitebeater, you're next on the list. Such a nice guy who speaks through his fists. Prick with the penchant for messing with heads. A broken nose for dinner and breakfast in bed. Alcoholic, paranoid, and suicidal too. But you'll probably kill her before she gets away from you. She's in a pool of blood and crying. All your friends say that you're a nice guy. Have a drink, this one's on me. Look, you're doing fine, losing to your disease. Comatose, I'll pack your bags. Bury you like Catherine and Gad. I'm a nice guy, you're a nice guy. We're all nice guys, but all of you are assholes. He's a nice guy, she's a nice guy. Hey, Tom Bo's a nice guy. All of you are assholes. Nice guys rule the planet. The public commented. Put a body by deception and lies. Social Darwinism and an overdose of pride. I don't wanna hear it. Read into the lyrics. Don't let the fucking pill quench your thirst. As long as you remember that nice guys finish first.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Plex. We do the show live every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific and beyond into red light. As the summer months wear on here in fabulous South San Jose, we may starting this show a little bit later. Ambient temperature in the studio right now is around 82 degrees, and it's only going to get worse as the summer wears on. If you'd like to support this project and maybe one day move me into a fabulous climate-controlled studio, you can do that at patreon.com/echoplex, or even better at eplex.store. The subscription service is much like Patreon, except in addition to the patrons content, you also get a discount on things in our shop every time you order, on top of any other promo code you might get. Real quick shout out to Ron S. Been a supporter of ours since the very beginning, switched his support over from Patreon to eplex.store and did it for a whole year at a time. So that's great. We know we can count on his support every month. And he got a little bit of a discount on it too. So that's great. Anyway, I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr. And, well, this is what the people want.
Police officers, they've gone insane.
I don't hate the cops. There's a person inside when the truncheon stops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Oh, when the raiders come, who will protect the shops? Don't hate the cops. They're a sensitive bunch if you don't stop throwing your rock. Snap, crackle, pop is the sound of a taser. Your body drops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Don't hate the cops. Oh, don't hate the cops. Like your local police. Cause they don't do nothing wrong like your local police. Got rid of the corruption and the racism is gone. They've been keeping the peace, keeping homeless folks out of the parks and malls. Got a cure for your social disease. Follow the law, don't hate the cops. 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 Put your hands above your head and show you're not afraid. I'm the fairest judge that your skin color's gonna get. And if you die before the sun comes up, the paperwork will take forever. Well, it might have worked out a little bit better if you didn't hate the cops. Cause they don't do nothing wrong. Don't hate the cops. You can't blame them for just doing their job. Don't hate the cops. Well, you gotta wonder how much would it cost for you to be shot at and stabbed at by maniacs and drunks. Don't hate the cops. 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 Don't hate the cops.
All right, everybody. Our first story is about the cops. This is from a little over a year ago, but was just recently, a little less than a year ago, and was just recently released. And this is one of them definitely nobody to root for situations because apparently, allegedly, a woman either tried to or did assault a partner with a car, and the police were called, and all fucking hell broke loose because fucking a white lady tears and shit.
Police officer was serving an arrest warrant for a domestic violence allegation. The suspect, 45-year-old Sean Malarkey, allegedly hit her ex-husband with a car.
Oh, her former partner. So if you're listening on the podcast of this, you might want to at least like grab the docket link in the description to check out this video, or you can go grab the video of this on YouTube, or even better yet, subscribe on Patreon or Plex.store, and you get the video of the whole show.
Hey, step out of the car right now. Get out of the car. Ma'am, we'll talk about everything, but get out of the car. Yep.
That's funny. Somebody in chat was like, well, I'm glad it's not my ex. It's not my neighbor.
Ma'am, step out.
Excuse me.
Step out.
No, excuse me.
Step out.
Get your hands off of me.
Step out of the car right
No,
now. Yes.
No.
Step out of the car.
Get your hands off
Get
of
out of the car.
No.
You're under arrest.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are.
So if you do want to question, like, check it out. if you want to, after you don't know what the fuck the police are there for, you go, what's going on? You go, am I being detained? Like, some of that soft sit shit is right. They just end up acting the fool. Like, even if you're in the right, you don't do this, because even if you did nothing wrong, now they're going to charge you with resisting arrest.
Get your hands
Open this garage door.
Excuse me.
Let go.
No, you get your hands off of me. No.
Get out of the car now.
No.
I will tase you if you don't get out of the car.
You better take your hands off of me right now.
Oh, there's like a kid in the back of the car. Fuck that,
I
dude.
told you you're under arrest. Get out of the car.
Why?
Because you have a warrant and you're wanted for domestic battery. Yes, you are.
Excuse me. I just sent a message and I am... Excuse me. Excuse me.
Get out of the car right now.
No.
I told you I can handle this peacefully, but you have to get out of the car.
No, you never said that.
She's right. He didn't say that.
I sent you a message. My attorney...
Affirmative. I have one cuff on.
You... Excuse me.
Yeah, he shouldn't be out of breath from this minor struggle that he's in.
You don't stop tugging.
I'm going to tase you if you don't get...
Why'd the audio die?
Yes.
No.
You're obstructing right now. Do you
No,
understand
you're
that?
obstructing.
I'm not going to tell you again.
No, I'm not going to tell you again.
Get out of the car right.
Yeah, fuck the police and shit, like, as an organization. But if they're there to serve a warrant, there's nothing you can do. It's not like a speeding ticket where you can be like, oh, please let me go. I'm a crying white lady. They're already a warrant. In fact, if you, because she's like, I was on the phone with my attorney. You know what you do if you find out there's a warrant for your arrest? Turn yourself in.
Stop
kicking. All right, 20
understand.
One female, 1095.
You did this.
No, I didn't do anything. No, I didn't.
Andy asked you to come out.
Excuse me?
Andy asked you to get out of the car.
No, Andy yanked me.
I yanked you because I told you you're under arrest and you refused.
Like, you don't know this shit right here. Listen, if you're there to serve a warrant, like, you don't have to explain shit. I don't fucking, this is like upper middle class white lady shit that's happening here.
Yes.
Yeah, out of breath, Andy.
No.
Like she's creating, like, listen, her kid's in the back of the car. There's a warrant for arrest. There's no way she's not going with them. Even if she thinks they're wrong, even if somehow she was using her car in self-defense against an abusive partner, this is all going to have to come out in court. Your young kid is in the back of the car, and you have now traumatized your young kid.
Are you going to stand up and be cooperative?
Are you going to understand that my attorney has filed a motion to quash this?
All right, you just stand your knee.
My attorney has filed a motion to quash this.
We're going out here this way.
To quash this.
You hit us, you do anything stupid towards us, and we're adding charges on. If you hit us or anything, let's go.
You've already hit me.
I didn't hit you.
I don't think they hit her. I think they dragged her out of the car.
Now you got a whole show for your neighbors here.
You are a dick.
Cops are dicks.
My children don't have anybody at home right now. You're gonna.
Well, because you fucking might have allegedly you ran over their father.
I need to call my attorney. I'm not getting in that car until I call my attorney. I'm calling my attorney.
It's not going to happen.
No, I'm calling my attorney.
When the time comes,
right now. I'm calling my attorney. No, I'm calling my attorney.
Sit in the car.
My children are home alone.
I'm giving you an order.
Sit in the car.
We will
My
get your
children
father here.
are home alone.
Oh, they're going to get the father there. That's the one she tried to run over allegedly with her car.
Home alone.
We will take care of your children.
No, you're not taking care of shit.
I'm gonna get
the way that you take care of somebody is throwing them down on the ground.
Nobody threw your children on the ground.
You are a shitty fucking human being.
I mean, she's right, but also there's a warrant out for her arrest for possible attempted vehicular homicide. If you try to drive your car into somebody, you're trying to kill them.
in front of their children? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Sit down! I told you to sit down!
You piece of shit!
Look at that neighborhood. Yeah, this is fucking rich white lady tears. Like, I mean, like, it might be like the houses there might be less than like a regular house here, but look at those fucking houses.
Piece of dirt that I wouldn't piss on if you were on fire.
I smell an odor of alcohol on your breath.
No, that's my piss.
That's your piss?
I'm pissing on you.
Okay.
When she drinks her own piss?
What?
Pain chips?
You're the worst part of the society. You think?
I don't think so.
Oh, no, I know.
I don't think so.
I fucking know it.
This lady just she allegedly attempted to run her ex-husband over with her car.
You are the worst. You take down a mother in front of her fucking children, but you are somehow...
No. Lady, the way you handle this is you go, as soon as they show up, you go, listen, I'm going to come with you, but can I call a neighbor? Can we call one of my neighbors? I'm going to come with you. And I think they're going to let this rich white lady call her neighbor. You call a neighbor and go, hey, I have a bit of legal trouble. Can you come over to my house? They're probably going to let you, but instead now your kids saw all this.
Pretty politely to get out.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Were you there?
Sounds like you were fleeing, right?
Were you there?
Well, it's his body. I mean, the body cam's there.
Emergency lights before you even got in the
Were
alley.
you there? Were you there?
Bend your legs.
No, were you there?
Bend your legs. Don't continue
Were you there? Were you there? Were you
I saw
there?
what I saw when I walked in.
Yeah.
You're not getting out.
After he...
Black Chevy truck that you pulled on.
Mobile.
But don't open the door again.
Operated the same bottle, same odor of alcohol. Okay. Hey, I didn't tell you to get out of the car. Stop. Do you have your phone on you?
Don't touch me.
Do you have your phone on you?
Get your fucking hands off me.
Where's your phone?
Do not.
Where's your phone at?
Get your... Do not touch me. Okay. Did I ever say... You fucker, do not touch me. Get his fucking hands off me. Get your fucking hands off me.
Cool out. Hey, if you keep resisting...
Oh, yo, don't try to ever bite anybody. I don't care what kind of fight you're in. Don't ever try to bite anybody. Unless, like, you absolutely have to.
Stop moving. Let him take off your watch.
You don't get to touch me. You are a disgusting piece of shit. The next time... No.
I do like her energy toward the cops in some ways, but also, like, she tried to run over her ex-husband, allegedly.
He doesn't get to touch me.
Okay, sit in the car.
Follow, use the words of let's use our hands.
Hey, get in the car. If you don't, you're going to get charged with obstructing.
If
Get in the car.
he touches me again...
Get in the car, Sean.
Get your fucking hands off
Sean,
me.
he's not even touching you. Get in the car.
Oh, but he
I'm not
did.
touching you.
No, he's touched me.
Get in the car,
He's
Sean.
touched me way more times than a...
Like, once you got the warrant, dude, you just gotta let them take you. She probably knew. She said she was on the phone with her attorney earlier. Why the fuck didn't her attorney be like, listen, get somebody to watch your kids and turn yourself in?
Sean, get in the car.
No, do you know what he's done?
Oh, sneaky move, sneaky move.
I'm gonna kick you right in the fucking...
That's mean. Don't do that.
Hey, pull the handle strap out the door.
Like, no matter what, if you're being arrested, what you need to do is shut the fuck up.
Has touched me more times than a pro... Do you understand?
Everyone.
Do you understand how many times he's touched me?
That was kid gloves, baby. That was kid gloves.
We have a couple of charges of our own, too, so it's going to be a lot.
Then what? We could just do what he says.
No.
Listen to what he says verbally.
I'm coming for him.
Okay.
My attorney is filing charges against you, motherfucker.
Let's take her out of here.
You are
There's no point. I'll meet you guys at PD.
Man, I feel fucking real bad for the other people in the fucking holding cell she ends up in. My God.
That I've ever witnessed in my entire fucking life.
Do you need anything in regards to your house?
I am suing you.
Do you need anything?
Like, why isn't she like, hey, what are you doing about my kid?
Dad,
Why isn't she like, hey, what's going on with my kid?
you are dead.
What's that?
You are getting sued.
No, what'd you say before that?
Face is
You said I am dead? What do you mean by that?
You are
Elaborate on it if you mean it.
you're getting sued.
See, like, they're like, listen, this is kid gloves. They're like, do you need anything regarding your house? And she just started like, yo, This could have been like a non-incident. She could have said, oh, okay, there's a warrant. Okay, well, I think things were different, but I'm not going to talk to you about this. Can I please call my neighbor or my sister? I'll do it, you know, whatever. You can hold the phone while I'm in cuffs. I just want to make sure somebody's here to take care of my kid. They would have said yes, and then none of this would have happened. Her kid was just fucking traumatized because that kid didn't know what the fuck was going on. I wonder if the kid was in her car when she tried to allegedly run over her ex-husband. Wonder why he left her. I'm assuming it's he who left her.
It's all too. She tried to bite me.
Wait. You think you're cool? You can beat up a girl? Good for you. Good for
Henry,
you.
20, I'm transporting female back.
Whoa, did she just yell a slur at him?
You're stronger than girl. Wow.
97197 97197.
Oh no, the kid in the back of the car was not. No, the kid in the back of the car was like in a fucking car seat, or at least that's what it appeared to be. It was hard to tell because it was the image was blurred most of the time. Well, the kid being used to it is worse, right? Like, if she treats the fucking cops this way, how does she treat the kid? Like, not that I'm saying that you should be kind to the cops, right? But you should at least have enough fucking sense to shut the fuck up. Like, what do you think she does when her kid misbehaves? My God.
Okay. I can start before you know when you close.
Sean, step out.
Where's my watch?
I have your watch.
Oh, is it?
You're not going to get to keep any of your possessions that you have on you, lady. You get a new outfit and everything. And then, if she's going to, like, mouth off to the people in the holding cell, she's going to have a bad time.
What's up?
I didn't get any paperwork accounting for it.
You haven't been processed yet. Other people that act like that way get tased or shot, lady. Fuck.
I'll see if your watch in the booking room.
Hey, guess what?
Just so you know, with body camera, your watch is right here, okay?
Guess what?
How about Sean?
I don't take anything for granted.
That's great. Can you hop out of the car now?
I don't know. You want to drag me out like you drug me in?
No, I prefer not to.
No, I know you enjoy that.
That's your opinion. Can you get out now?
No, it's what I experienced. Thank you.
Are you going to willingly exit this car or no?
I don't think I can because my feet are tied together and my hands. So I don't think that I can willingly.
I'll help you out then. I'll help you out, Sean. Come on.
Dick.
Let's go.
That guy.
Hey, why are you... Hey, put your feet back on the other side. No. Here, put your feet down. Put your feet... No. Put your feet down there.
It hurts too much. You could just take it off.
Okay, no. We're not... No, you're going to take it.
No, what am I? I'm 100 pounds. You think I'm going to take a 200-pound dude?
Well, you've already kicked at us a lot of times.
She already tried to bite one of them, dude. Listen, don't bite the cops. Don't bite anyone.
Guy, right there.
The one you tried to bite? Okay, Sean, let's go.
Why? Could you ask yourself a question?
Sean,
I couldn't do this as a job. But
because that guy beat me up and drug me out of my car in front of my fucking kid.
Yo, lady, you're the one who made that traumatic for your kid. Especially with your kid there, you find out there's a warrant. You don't even know. Even she knew exactly what the warrant was for, right? You don't allegedly attempt to run over your husband with your car and then not know why the cops are there. But let's say that something else was going on, and she didn't know why they were there. Even more, either reason, shut the fuck up. Be like, I need to get somebody to take care of my kid, and but I'm cooperating with you. And then none of this happens, and you don't end up on the Plex with us a little bit morally ambivalent about the situation.
Okay. He's a dick.
Let's go.
That's why.
We're going.
You don't have any sort of consciousness or awareness as to why?
Stand up, Sean. You can.
No, I can't.
You were standing outside of the car earlier, weren't you? Now stand up.
How can I stand up?
Because you need a security over there.
You're gonna get
well, you're not being nice to me. Since
you're not being nice to me. You never
But this is like, what the fuck? What do you mean we're having an argument over who's being nice?
Do you know how many fucking times I've served you guys food? I've sat out there and served you guys hot dogs.
I wish you would just be nice to us instead of
I wish you would be fucking nice to me. Are you fucking kidding me? You're making my wrists bleed?
Well, it's following simple orders, Sean.
Yeah, politely, like an adult.
I did nothing.
Sean Malarkey was charged with felony aggravated DUI, her third DUI with a child passenger, and felony aggravated assault to an officer, misdemeanor count of resisting. She also received a citation for transportation.
Oh, she had an open container in the fucking car. Oh, lady, my God. My God, the third time with a... Oh, Jesus Christ. Yo, fuck the police, but like in this case, like she needs to be like... I don't know if she needs to be taken... she needs to be... At the very least, she needs to be taken... That kid needs to be taken away from her. But if she was charged with aggravated assault with her car and she doesn't shut her fucking mouth, that's gonna end up being attempted murder. So like, you know, it's fine, talk shit to the cops if you want, but like in this case, I don't know like what else was supposed to happen. Like there was, you know, I kind of wish like every time the cops served a warrant, they behaved with this much restraint. We would live in a much safer society where people would have at least a little more respect for the fucking cops. Like, imagine if that was like a bigger black dude, how that would have all gone down. Would have been a different fucking scenario entirely, even if he would have behaved like 20% as aggressively as she behaved. So that was our first story. Fucking interesting, right? I didn't know whether or not to put that on the docket, but I'm glad we did. You know, it is what it is. Up next, we have, this is the House of Representatives and people, there's a bill put forth by Matt Gaetz to abolish the ATF, which I am generally for. I think that we have enough law enforcement agencies and get rid of one of them ain't the worst idea. But also like the ATF also like is like trying to find people who are building bombs. So I don't know. Anyway, here's some fireworks from the House floor with Adam Schiff and Adam Schiff just asking his Republican colleagues if they're in favor of abolishing the ATF. My answer would be yes, but probably not for the reasons that the Republicans would like to do it.
I'm happy to yield to my Republican colleagues if they want to express support for Mr. Gaetz' efforts to defund the ATF. Would any of my Republican colleagues like to express their support for Mr. Gaetz' efforts to defund the ATF?
I think we're going to get to that.
I
think we're going to get to that,
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jordan, would you like me to yield to you, express your support for Mr. Gaetz' legislation to defund the ATF?
I'm going to yield to Mr. Gaetz.
No, I'm yielding to you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I'm going to listen to Mr. Gaetz' compelling arguments that I know will be coming, and then we will have a debate.
Reclaiming my time, I'd be happy to yield to you for the purpose of yes.
I appreciate your willingness.
Mr. Jordan, if you let me finish.
I will.
It is my time. I'm happy to yield to you for the purpose of saying yes or no, whether you support Mr. Gaetz' efforts to defund the ATF. Do you, Mr. Jordan?
I support Mr. Gaetz' effort to send a message to the ATF, which is what he said just a few minutes ago in the debate.
So you support the legislation to defund the ATF?
I didn't say that. I said I support his efforts to send a message to the ATF.
The bill that Mr. Gaetz has introduced
changed the rule after 10 years of telling American citizens
that it would abolish, it would eliminate the Bureau immediately after enactment. Do you support that, Mr. Jordan? Yes or no?
I've given my answer.
Do you support it?
I've given my answer.
Yes or no, Mr. Jordan?
I've given my answer, Mr. Schiff.
Okay, I guess your answer is you don't support it, or you're afraid to say that you do. But I'm happy to yield to Mr. Johnson, or Mr. Biggs, or Mr. McClintock, Mr. Tiffany, Mr. Massey, anyone else like to join Mr. Gaetz, and anyone like to Anyone like to express their support for Mr. Gates' effort to abolish an entire federal law enforcement agency? Anyone over there? Mr. Issa, do you support abolishing the ATF?
Thank you for yielding.
It's a yes or no, Mr.
You and I have served here for almost 22 plus years.
Reclaiming my time. I'm not getting a yes or no from anyone.
I was getting to that.
Well, yes or no.
I'm sorry,
yes
but
no, Mr. Issa.
What I was saying is
yes
that
or no?
It took 22 years to see you conducting a deposition of your colleagues, and I appreciate
reclaiming
it, Mr.
my
U.S.
time.
Attorney.
Reclaiming my time. Apparently, Mr. Gates.
No, in a deposition, you kind of have to answer the question. This is a bit of grandstanding by Adam Schiff for sure.
The only one willing to publicly say he supports defunding the ATF. Maybe that's progress, and I hope that will mean that my
colleagues will. I think there's going to be a vote. I think there's going to be a vote. You're going to know here in a couple
minutes. I hope
minutes.
that my colleagues will accept the amendment.
The gentleman's time has expired. The gentleman from Arizona.
Excuse me, I'm reclaiming my time, Mr.
You don't have any time to reclaim.
Well, I would if you hadn't been speaking over it.
No, you ask us all the questions.
Well, and what's the answer,
the
Mr. Jordan?
Gentleman from Arizona.
What's the answer? Do you support abolishing the ATF, Mr. Jordan?
The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate this interest in the legislation. I've offered.
I like how whoever cut the video was like, fuck whatever Matt Gaetz has to say. It was a bit of grandstanding, but, you know, like, these people, these are all the ones, oh, we love the fucking police, blah, 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 until somebody in chat was saying, until there's a law enforcement agency that might regulate guns. Now they don't want to do it. I don't like the ATF. They don't have a great history. They got a little bit of blood on their hands. Maybe more than a little bit. But, you know, it is what it is. And our government is completely dysfunctional. Because I'm pretty sure Matt Gaetz didn't introduce the bill to abolish or defund the ATF with any expectation that it would go anywhere, right? It was just so that he could go back to like the wackos in his district and say that he did that. I wish that people in our legislative bodies would stop proposing stuff that they know has no chance of passing. That they know they're not even going to get support from their own side of the aisle for. Anyway, up next is a public service announcement, and it's a little crazy that this is necessary, but it is.
Hi, can I get you started with drinks?
Oh, sorry, I gotta take this.
We'll need a minute.
Seriously, no, I'm here. Sorry,
Hey, you need to back up. You can't be here anymore. Get out of my face, what, man. You think I'm afraid of you? Get off, man. 911, there's a clip.
So right there, getting behind the bar is pretty smart. A lot of places the bar it may look like wood and stuff, but there's a metal substructure to the bar. Getting behind the bar, if you can, is a smart thing to do if this happens. That's another good place to go, the exit.
Running makes you harder to hit and improves your chances of survival. Don't go up here.
Police, where is he?
By the bar, blue jeans, black shirt. Empty hands up, follow their instructions.
I'm in the direct line of fire if I head for either exit, but I have other options to help me survive. Guys, come on, in here. Come on. Go, go, go. Lock and barricade the door.
Both my exits are blocked by the shooter. I gotta stay hidden. I'm no victim. I'm ready for this.
He's applying direct pressure to the wound to stop the bleeding until we can find a tourniquet. In the meantime, turn off your phones and make a plan to defend yourself.
Turn off your phones. Silent. Put your phones on silent and try to fucking Oh, anyway, whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these are best practices from someone trained in this kind of thing, which is a crazy thing that we have people trained in.
We have to fight to survive.
You got to fight to survive behind the bar is not a bad place. Look for weapons. Like, look for a fucking weapon. You think that bartender ain't got a baseball bat behind there?
Shooter. I'll go for the gun. He'll go for his arms. The bartender will go for the head.
Where is he?
We got him right here.
Please, show me your hand.
Over here.
You can survive a mass shooting if you're prepared. Remember, run, hide, or fight. Run. Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away from the attacker. Don't hesitate. Seconds matter. Remember windows and emergency exits. Leave belongings behind. Keep your empty hands raised and clearly visible when exiting a building. Follow all instructions from the police. Don't stop until you're sure you've reached a safe location. Hide. If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. Lock and barricade the door. Silence cell phones. Prepare a defense plan. Fight. Fight only as a last resort. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. You're fighting for your life. Don't fight fair. Stop the bleed. A victim can die of uncontrolled blood loss in 5 minutes or less. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding. Go to fbi.gov/survive to learn more.
I would suggest maybe not FBI for this. There are nonprofits. There are individuals who are trained in self-defense and in defending others. And I would just suggest, the FBI may have good information, but don't encourage the FBI. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. None of this is funny. But yeah, I mean, a crowded bar is like a horrible place to be when this goes down, because this is like, you probably don't know who the shooter is. And another thing, a lot of the Republicans would be like, oh, where's the good guy with the gun? And I'd be like, well, what we really want here actually would be 2 people shooting through the crowd. That sounds reasonable. I had a conversation once at the bar at my friend's restaurant. There was a guy who was a former cop, quit doing policing because he didn't like the culture, went into defending individuals. He just does personal defense for people. And he had a few drinks in him, and he kind of talked about a few things, and it was a really interesting conversation. I wish I'd have gotten his card, because I'd love to have him on to talk about like what you can do to defend others, what you shouldn't do, etc. The one thing I do remember is we talked about a school shooting, and I was like, hey, what do you think about arming the teachers? And he said, you know how a classroom's laid out? He goes, so most classrooms are laid out in such a way that the teacher can see the students in the door. So that means the students are between the teacher and the door. And if somebody's going to come in with intent to hurt people, they're going to come in through the door. And so now, if the teacher had a firearm, they'd be firing across the people they were trying to defend, which is what he said, you don't ever do that. We don't live in a movie. And so, yeah, don't be a hero, like somebody's saying in the chat. If you can help somebody, help somebody. But, don't, it's not a movie. This is not a movie. This is real. And hopefully this never happens to anyone in this chat or anyone listening to this podcast. Hopefully you never have to use any of this advice. Hopefully you never have to run or fight for your lives. But this is America. The people who are listening to this who live outside of America are probably just constantly stunned at this, that this is a thing that we have to think about. And that not just us as adults have to think about, the fucking children have to think about. My God. I never thought about that shit when I was a kid. I'm 46 years old. It never occurred to me somebody's going to come shoot up my fucking school. Times they are a-changin'. Anyway, here's Texas State Representative Roland Gutierrez, and is making some claims about Governor Greg Abbott, and doesn't make Greg Abbott sound so great. These are just claims. These are allegations. We don't know them to be true.
Ever since Uvalde, we've seen mass shootings across this nation, and cops come out and they tell you who died. They tell you who the shooter was. They tell you what the motivation was. And they do it all within 24 hours. Hell, they do it all within a few hours. And some of them show you the body cams that day. You saw that in Tennessee. You saw that in Chicago. You saw that in California. And you see it all the way all across this country. But you don't see it here. And you don't see it here because there's one man in a center office in this building that doesn't want you to see what's going on. And he tells his top cop, you're in control here, man. Keep it quiet. Don't tell people that the people that died in Allen, Texas were mostly minorities. Don't have that conversation because I'm going to go down to the border and blame Biden for some bullshit that's not existent, right? We can talk about that, but that's not what today's about. Today is about the reality, and the reality is that we are in a more dangerous state because Republicans have made it more dangerous. We are in a more dangerous state because of loose gun laws that allow everybody to walk down Congress with a gun, and a cop can't even ask you one question as to why. I promise you, if it was a black man or a brown man walking down Congress, they'd figure out something, wouldn't they, Ron?
That's right, they sure would.
And so that's what's happening in this country. That's what's happening in this state.
Whoa, that dude is angry. You can't fake that funk. Did you see fucking that dude was pissed? That dude, you cannot fake. That's not that. I mean, if he could fake that shit, he should be making a lot more money as a fucking actor. You cannot fake that shit. And he's not wrong. I don't know if his claim about what the governor said to whoever the top cop is true. But even if that, you know, it wasn't in so many words, maybe the law enforcement is nudged in certain directions by the political powers that be. Who fucking knows? Anyway, we're going to move on to something a good bit more funny. George Santos has had a big week.
You guys, look, this is the beginning of the ability for me to address and defend myself. We have an indictment. We have the information that the government wants to come after me on, and I'm going to comply. I've been complying throughout this entire process. I have no desire not to comply at this point. They've been gracious in there. Now I'm going to have to go and fight to defend myself. The reality is it's a witch hunt. Because it makes no sense that in 4 months, 5 months, I'm indicted. You have Joe Biden's entire family receiving deposits from 9.
Look at people are booing him.
Receiving money from foreign destinations into their bank accounts. It's been years of exposing. A lot of you here have reported on them, and yet no investigation is launched into them. I'm going to fight. I'm getting back to that. I'm going to fight my battle. I'm going to deliver. I'm going to fight the witch hunt. I'm going to take care of clearing my name, and I look forward to doing that.
He's like, I've only been here 4 months and I've already been indicted. Sir, that doesn't make you sound good. Because it turns out there are pressures against indicting people who are elected officials for any number of reasons. It could look like a political witch hunt, as this guy was saying it. The pressure isn't, they're not like go around looking for members of Congress to indict. Whoever did this probably had to fight through, layers of bureaucracy at whatever district attorney's office they're at, or whatever federal prosecutor's office they're at, to get the indictment, and or to arrest him. He pled 13 criminal counts. My God.
for unemployment benefits when you had a job making $120,000 a year.
Rachel, this is part of my defense. This is inaccurate information, and I will get to clear my name on this. During the pandemic, it wasn't very clear. I don't understand where the government's getting their information, but I will present my facts.
Prosecutors say that you got overput. Excuse me, prosecutors.
Wait a minute. He's saying, I don't know how the government got this information that I was employed making over $100K a year. Well, maybe they checked maybe they checked with your former employer to see if they were still cutting you checks.
Say that you got over $20,000 in unemployment benefits, sir. How is that acceptable?
Ma'am, like I said, my employment was changed during the time. I don't understand where the government's coming from. I'll present my defense.
And one last
They probably have him dead to rights on this shit. Like, people really needed help during the pandemic, too. And a lot of folks took advantage of that shit, ranging from George Santos to the fucking cult of Scientology. And they should all be held accountable for that, because regular ass people had a hard time navigating that system, especially like gig workers, people who did contract work, had a little bit of a hard time navigating that system to get a little help during the pandemic. And these people who were doing just fine got this money. Fuck them. Here's more. Here's from MSNBC on the Ari Melber show. Oh my God.
So the way I look at it is they're not understanding. The question is simple. George, why was your income $55,000 in 2020 and why is your income drastically higher? Well, here's the answer to that. We struck a deal in the company so nobody went unemployed and got reduced to like a very basic salary, just so we, as we called it, livable wages in the company. So we can get by, because our industry was capital introduction vis-a-vis conferences, vis-a-vis speed dating, that in private equity, and managing limited partner, general partner relationships and investment groups. So long story short, I went from 2019 bringing in $400 and something thousand dollars to, in 2020 my reported income was $55K. It couldn't be more legitimate. I actually qualified for unemployment.
Quote, I qualified for unemployment. This is newly revealed in these Santos tapes tonight at MSNBC exclusive. And as for the unemployment today, prosecutors say otherwise. Now,
so the thing about that is, I don't think you qualify for unemployment. I think you could have applied for aid specific to the pandemic if your income was cut to a quarter. I think, but I don't think that would have been unemployment benefits. I think it would have been some other program that was available. And like if, I don't know what his situation is or whatever, but you got a mortgage and 4 kids and your pay goes down from $200K to $55K during the pandemic. Yeah, I think that wouldn't make you whole all the way up to $200K, but I'd be okay with the government backstopping some of that. That's what the fucking government's there for. But also, this guy's like the fucking big thing about this too is this guy's probably one of them fucking small government fucking conservatives too. They all want the government to be small until it's time for the government to write them a fucking check. Here's one more clip. He's just on some fucking show, probably incriminating himself.
Yes, I've been misrepresented for clicks, right? I mean, there's a lot of narratives out there that we have submitted tons of corroborated evidence for them to be clawed back or to...
What's the main one you think that...
I mean, I'm being accused of being a thief. I'm not a thief. I've never stole anything in my life, right? I'm being accused of...
That's not what the fucking government of Brazil says, buddy.
Swindling a veteran for charitable donations.
The check fraud thing, though, check fraud thing in Brazil. I mean, I feel like when you say like what you've been accused of and how it's been proven not to be true, the check fraud thing is still very much alive in Brazil, right?
It's not. It's actually dwindling down and it's being dismissed.
Being dismissed is a lot different than it's been dismissed. He thinks it's going to be dismissed because he's a Congress person, like he's a member of Congress, and he thinks that somehow that's going to make it so that he can just go commit crimes in fucking Brazil. I don't know. In Brazil, like, be gay, do crime, I suppose, but just do the right kind of crime. Don't do a bunch of check fraud. Check fraud usually targets elderly people, people lower on the socioeconomic status, etc. Don't even have personal checks. Just don't have them. George Santos might take your money. Here's old Tucker. If you know, we talked last week about how he was kind of unceremoniously fired from Fox News. Well, don't worry. He's taking his white power hour directly to Twitter, where I'm sure like all the older demographic people who really like his show are going to just be very easily able to find his show, and his numbers are going to go up, I'm sure.
Hey, it's Tucker Carlson. You often hear people say the news is full of lies, but most of the time that's not exactly right. Much of what you see on television or read the New York Times is in fact true in the literal sense. It could pass one of the media's own fact checks. Lawyers would be willing to sign off on it. In fact, they may have. But that doesn't make it true. It's not true. At the most basic level, the news you consume is a lie of the stealthiest and most insidious kind. Facts have been withheld on purpose, along with proportion and perspective. You are being manipulated. How does that work? Let's see. If I tell you that a man has been unjustly arrested for armed robbery, that is not, strictly speaking, a lie. He may have been framed. At this point, there's been no trial, so no one can really say.
Does the news say that? Because they don't actually, like, they always use the passive voice, which pisses a lot of people off, right? They're like, they will say, this person died in an altercation with the police. But that's because the news outlet, real good news outlets, they're like, we're going to get sued if we run around fucking adjudicating cases before they've been adjudicated.
But if I don't mention the fact that the same man has been arrested for the same crime 6 times before, am I really informing you? No, I'm not.
But you know what's amazing? Sometimes when you're in front of a jury, that information is not admissible in court. Especially if maybe you have been arrested for this 6 times, but then all 6 times the charges were dropped. Well, then that's irrelevant information. Saying someone was arrested for something, now you're the one leaving something out. Were they convicted?
Yeah. And that's what the news media are doing in every story that matters, every day of the week, every week of the year. What's it like to work in a system like that? After more than 30 years in the middle of it, we could tell you stories. The best you can hope for in the news business at this point is the freedom to tell the fullest truth that you can. But there are always limits. And you know that if you bump up against those limits often enough, you will be fired for it. That's not a guess, it's guaranteed. Every person who works in English language media understands that.
Every person who works at a job of any kind understands that if you piss off the people that are employing you enough, they're going to fire you.
The rule of what you can't say defines everything. It's filthy, really, and it's utterly corrupting. You can't have a free society if people aren't allowed to say what they think is true. Speech is the fundamental prerequisite for democracy. That's why it's enshrined in the first of our constitutional amendments. Amazingly, as of tonight, there aren't many platforms left that allow free speech. The last big one remaining in the world, the only one, is Twitter, where we are now.
Except they don't do free speech. They fucking apartheid Clyde just sort of at a whim will kick people off of Twitter.
Twitter has long served as the place where our national conversation incubates and develops. Twitter is not a partisan site. Everybody's allowed here, and we think that's a good thing. And yet, for the most part, the news that you see analyzed on Twitter comes from media organizations that are themselves thinly disguised propaganda outlets. You see it on cable news, you talk about it on Twitter. The result may feel like a debate, but actually the gatekeepers are still in charge. We think that's a bad system. We know exactly how it works, and we're sick of it. Starting soon, we'll be bringing a new version of the show we've been doing for the last 6.5 years to Twitter. We'll be bringing some other things too, which we'll tell you about.
Like slurs.
But for now, we're just grateful to be here. Free speech is the main right that you have. Without it, you have no others. See you soon.
So you actually don't have free speech on Twitter because property rights butt up against that. It's been found over and over and over again in courts that I don't have free speech rights in your living room. And on Twitter, you know, we may not like the way that it's enforced or whatever, but I'm not like, oh, Elon's, violating people's right to free speech. Well, no, he can just delete anything he wants from those fucking data centers. Same as I can delete anything I want from a server or computer that I control. It's just, you'd think Twitter would be a little more responsible about how they do it. And in the past, they weren't great at it, but you could tell, like, even from the Twitter files, right? You could tell that there were people there that were trying. They were doing their best. So, up next, the former president was, there were findings for the plaintiff on one of 2 charges in a recent civil trial. And we're going to go over that because, you know, this docket that we're going through, it seems like rather quickly. Well, we've already been here for an hour. It's not great. Not great news this week.
E. Jean Carroll said that she couldn't really see whether Donald Trump was penetrating her with his genitalia. She knew that he had first inserted his fingers into her vagina. She felt him do that. And then she thought that she was penetrated by his penis, but she couldn't say for sure, in part because she couldn't see it. And so
I ain't gonna, but y'all in chat can, all right?
Uncertainty may have been part of what motivated the jury's verdict on the rape count. That notwithstanding, she was so unambiguous about the sexual abuse, and that plus the corroborating evidence that Ron pointed to, not only the fact that she called Lisa Birnbach from the sidewalk outside Bergdorf's, talked to Carol Martin 2 days later, but the testimony of Jessica Leeds and Natasha Stoynoff, whose own experiences with Donald Trump not only echoed E. Jean Carroll's, but were basically a come to life version of the Donald Trump playbook as enunciated in the Access Hollywood tape. I think that that's partially what helped get this jury over the line on the sexual abuse count.
So yeah, one of 2 of the civil matters were found for the plaintiff. So it was the sexual abuse. I don't like using the word, the RAPE wasn't that one was he was found not liable for. So up next, we've got the media reaction and clips from a Trump interview about it. Here's from Newsmax. Here's Dick Morris, formerly, allegedly, he was formerly at one point maybe credible, but maybe not so much. Here's him going to be like, well, why don't you just defame her some more, actually? See what happens.
Well, not question. I think that, look, all of these cases boil down to Donald Trump versus the accuser. And in this case, it's a zero-sum game. And what Trump needs to do is to defame her a little bit more. He needs to go after.
Yeah, it worked out so well the first time. Great advice, buddy. Like, even Dershowitz is going to be like, no?
She waited to bring the charges. She only talked about it after she got a $70,000 book advance. And then to add the other ingredient that this is a likely all Democratic jury. We don't know that because we don't have the names of the jurors. But it's in New York where 87% of the voters backed Biden over Trump. And I think it's a combination of running against the victim and running against the jury pool.
Is there a constitutional issue in this, Alan? Because what I'm wondering is that this is appealed. It can only keep going if there's a constitutional issue. It can go up to some point.
Several constitutional issues.
We didn't get to hear Dersh be like, but he probably should not continue to do the things that they got him in trouble in the first case. Every once in a while, Dershowitz will come on one of these shows and pop off at the mouth in a way that they weren't expecting. Because he allegedly used to be a good attorney. So up next, we have some clips from that interview that Trump did on CNN. And I didn't watch the interview, but I heard mixed reviews of it from both kind of Trump people and anti-Trump people. So maybe we'll watch the whole thing eventually on this channel, but probably not. Not really my wheelhouse. There are other channels that do a good job of covering like electoral politics. Anyway, here's one of the questions. This was just like, why don't you just admit that you lost? It was a pretty fair question.
I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened. That was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it. And they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the...
You hear the people in the crowd laughing at this guy?
Intelligence
he thinks they're laughing with him, but they're laughing at him.
That made a 16-point difference. If you look at the
Mr.
FBI...
President,
If you look at the FBI and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference. If you look at
Mr. President, back to what you just said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly 2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras, where
no, they didn't. He's talking about the 2,000 Mules video. No, they didn't. We watched the 2,000 Mules video. That was the least convincing piece of fucking political propaganda I think I've ever seen. Well, I don't know. There was that Mike Lindell video where he showed the packets going from China to the U.S. That was maybe slightly less convincing than the video from True the Vote. Here's Trump just basically complaining that she's asking questions at all. Just, very rude of you to ask me questions. Do you know who I am?
Why you held on to those documents when you knew the federal government was seeking them and then had given you a subpoena to return them.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Can I talk?
Yeah, what's the answer?
Do you mind?
I would like for you to answer the question.
Okay, it's very simple to answer.
That's why I asked it.
It's very simple to, you're a nasty person, I'll tell you.
Oh, you know what? End the interview. Walk off. End the interview. Just end the interview right now. Just end it. Just leave. Be like, you know what? I'm not doing this.
Can you answer why you held on to the documents?
I was negotiating and we were talking to NARA, that's Washington, to bring whatever they want. They can have whatever they want.
Yo, I read a little bit about that lady. She's not like some liberal. She's not some lefty. I want to say she worked for The Hill or she worked for some right-wing outlet before CNN. She was going to be like the least likely. She worked for the Daily Caller. Thank you, chat. Like she was going to be the least likely to ask him like what he would call unfair questions. And well, he just called her nasty for asking a question about why he did something that he's on the record admitting to having done. Like, yo, she should have, I got no love for her, but she should have just ended the interview right there. She should have said, I'm sorry. If this is how this is going to go, I'm going to have to end this interview. This is not what I'm here for. Up next, it's different now because of reasons.
Save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
That's when I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
Like, yeah, he thinks that they think he's like clever, but they're laughing at him. They're not laughing at his jokes, right? They're laughing at him, which is different. Yeah, look, they're like, this is great. The audience is like, this is great. I'm sure there's some people in the audience who are Trumpers, but I think most of the people in that audience are laughing at him, that they don't think that that his jokes are necessarily funny. Here's him more on the debt ceiling. This is he's going to say, just fucking default on the debt. Just default on it. It'll be fine. Nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad will happen to the economy. I'll come fix it. Don't worry about it.
You think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans are demanding?
You might as well do it now because you'll do it later. Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the Oval Office.
That's when I was president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
So I'm getting word from my producer, aka my chat, that they selected the audience specifically to be independents and Republicans. So my analysis there may be wrong. They may think that his jokes are funny. It's possible. We all get shit wrong in the moment, and if that's the case, I don't know. Then kind of bad on CNN, I guess, for like selecting an audience specifically that's going to be sympathetic to Donald Trump. I don't even know if maybe an audience is appropriate for this kind of interview. Because then it allows him to kind of play to the audience, especially if it's people who are going to tend to agree with him. Up next, we got discussions about January 6th. I'm sure he'll tell the truth here.
I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this, and that was because they thought the election was rigged. And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart. That was an unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day. And what I was asked to do, I wasn't involved in it very much. I was asked to come in when I make a speech. I made a speech. I said, walk peacefully and patriotically, you know, many different things. In fact, I brought a list of things. I don't want to bore the audience, but we can go sentence after sentence after sentence of things I said and things I put out. One of the big problems was that Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy as I affectionately call her, Crazy Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington were in charge, as you know, of security. And they did not do their job.
They're not in charge of the National Guard. You're in charge of the National Guard.
Well, I offered them National Guard. I said, we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want. And they turned me down.
You're
and in fact, she turned me down. She turned me down in writing.
That's not, she didn't have time to turn you down in writing. I don't know what the fuck, like, he's just up there lying. Like the interviewer actually is doing a pretty good job. I'm not going to lie. You know, he didn't expect that. But, you know, now, if he was told he'd have a friendly audience, then he knew that he could just kind of, as I call it, play the ref, right? He doesn't have to win over the audience, so just play the ref. Say that the interviewer is being unfair. And everybody thought this was bad, or a lot of people thought this was bad afterward, but don't worry. Here's a Vanderbilt going here to tell you that you're just in a silo and that you need to get out of your silo.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment. Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie. And I get it. It was disturbing. It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was
women specifically
disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I
think the audience at all was a mistake. Why was there an audience there? Why was there a live studio audience? What was this, a sitcom?
Forget. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president. And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years. And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country.
No, it's not. Half the country, half the fucking people aren't even registered. And of those who are registered, about half of them don't even vote.
They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today and angry and never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
Okay. This guy talking about people living in their own silo. When do you think the last time this guy broke bread with anybody who makes under $500,000 a year was? When do you think this guy was at like a party, like a kegger? When do you think this guy is Gloria Vanderbilt's son? He had a spoon in he was born with a spoon made of unobtainium in his mouth, not a silver spoon, an unobtainium spoon. So I don't want to hear from this motherfucker that I'm out here living in a silo, because this dude's like third apartment is worth more than the house that I live in and pay rent at. And I'm in Silicon Valley, right? I mean, my God, get how fucking like completely out of touch with just regular people can you get? Oh, speaking of out of touch with regular people, here's Kimberly Guilfoyle's take on this. This is strangely enough, she was used to be with Gavin Newsom, which is odd. Maybe it's not that odd because it shows you the only real solidarity out there is class solidarity, but it's class solidarity among the rich.
You know, but truth tellers, right? I mean, tell it like it is. Everyone's like, oh, Trump's nuts. He's going on CNN. What are you talking about? Let me tell you something. You know the guy? I mean, give me a break. He's so comfortable in his own skin. He's totally fearless. He just dominates. He just eats people alive. And that's who I want as a commander in chief. OK, yeah. Someone who's like battle tested, is able to handle any environment. It doesn't matter if it's a hostile environment. Good luck to the rest of you. That's why I just have to say, OK, 911, I have to report a murder. CNN and also the primary. It's done. Trump is the nominee, and anybody else who's saying different is just lying or.
Shut up. Like, yeah, like, I don't know what to say about that. She's just, I mean, she's right. The primary's over and CNN didn't look good. I think the lady that did the interview was, you know, better than I expected based on her history. But, yeah, I think Trump came out of that, you know, getting what he wanted. And she's not wrong. She just, you know, a little bit kook birds. So we're now away from the Trump thing. And we're going to move on to Lauren Boebert. And then after Lauren Boebert, actually have a palate cleanser, which I feel like we really need at this point. We're going to call this, this one's called, on my docket, there's regular lying and then there's whatever this is.
So what are your thoughts on Ducey undermining your investigation?
Well, we are members of the House Oversight Committee, and we are conducting oversight into the executive at this current moment. Chairman Comer said at our press conference just yesterday, we aren't just investigating the Biden family, we are investigating Joe Biden. Sure, we have some circumstantial evidence that is it seems very, very corrupt, and we are gathering more information as the Oversight Committee conducting this oversight so we can reveal the truth. We aren't Democrats that just scream a witch hunt for no reason. We have
what?
Legal experts looking into this and making sure that we can move forward with these investigations, and there's enough information to do exactly that. We know that there are at least 9 members of the Biden family involved. And it's time for the DOJ to actually do its job and investigate as well. And hopefully the information that we bring forward leads to those investigations. Now, we can't put anyone in cuffs as members of Congress. And I don't think that the Department of Justice officials are very eager to cuff their boss right now, who is currently in the White House, whether that's the fake White House set that they built for him or the original.
The fake White House that she's like fucking really like, she's like not even dog whistling right there. She's foghorning the crazies, being like the fake White House. That's fucking like QAnon influencers say that shit.
But the American people are tired of the 3-letter agencies that are weaponized against them and targeting even President Trump, while we have this family who has very corrupt dealings and very questionable engagements with our foreign adversaries.
Well, Congressman, I don't want to cut you off.
Like even Eric Bolling was like, whoa, what's going on here? This is going off the rails a little bit. Yo, there's lying and then there's that. I don't think they have shit. Do I think that the Biden family is free of corruption? Well, no, they're a rich and powerful family, but it's just like garden variety rich and powerful family corruption. Like if you want to outlaw that, if you want to start passing laws to outlaw that shit, fucking I'm on board. But as it stands now, I don't think either party wants to do that because they all engage in fucking corruption, because that's what you, when you get power, very few people gain power and then don't become incredibly corrupt as a result of having power. It's like, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I know it's kind of a It's kind of like a saying. Yeah, it's like a saying, but it's true. So everybody, at this point, we need a palate cleanser. You've heard of a snapping turtle, but have you ever heard of a slapping turtle? That was so cute. I love the slapping turtle. When I saw that, I was like, that's amazing. I was like, that has to be our palate cleanser this week. I love the slapping turtle. Up next is this is in You Love to See It. There's a guy. I love these people getting kicked off of the fucking plane for being an asshole videos, because it ain't the cops kicking these people off the planes, right? These are like flight attendants, like people who have like a really hard job, have to travel around for work, don't really get to spend a lot of time at home. Some of these people have families that they're separated from, and then they have to deal with this. Well, these flight attendants handled this really well, from what I understand.
I don't know. You should have thought about that before you called for a bitch, because you still hurts. And all I did was ask you to move. Nobody was being combative with you. I said, can you leave in 13D, which is your seat? I asked outside, and they told me you can see 13D. And I told you to go to 13D, as in Delta, which was your seat. I thought it was 13C. No, you're trying to, don't sugar it up now, because you call her a bitch. She had nothing to do with you sitting in her seat. Nothing to do with it. So she's supposed to sit here while you verbally assaulted her and be okay with that. No, you're going. Goodbye. Step off the plane. Well, how do I get back? I don't know. You're going to have to figure that out. But figure out how to handle yourself as an adult while you're at it. Goodbye.
Fuck yeah.
Goodbye.
Fuck yeah, King.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah. That dude was like, I don't care. Get off the fucking plane. This is your problem now. Fuck yeah. He took about a minute of that guy's shit and was like, get out of here. And the thing is, when you do this too, you get put on a list. That guy's going to have a hard time finding another flight home. That dude, you know what that dude's going to make good friends with? Fucking Greyhound. And that's, it's not the worst way to travel, actually. Train's better, actually. You should take the Amtrak. Might see some sights on the Amtrak. But yeah, like nobody wants to be on that plane. Like it's flying is not a good experience. And then you have some asshole sitting in your seat and you're like, oh, you think that, you go up to them, maybe you're like, oh, I think you might have made a mistake. This is, my assigned seat. And then he starts talking shit to you. Hell fucking no. Get the fuck off the flight. You know what I do on a plane? I sit down, I shut the fuck up, and I hope that the fucking everything happens a little bit ahead of schedule, because I don't like being on there. Nobody really likes being on the plane. Up next, I had completely forgotten about Wendy Rogers. Apparently, Wendy Rogers filed for a restraining order against a reporter who just went to her house to ask questions. There's no evidence that this reporter threatened Wendy Rogers or anything. If you're a member of Congress or if you're an elected official, you can expect reporters to maybe knock on your door to try to ask you questions about what you're doing in your capacity as an elected official. Well, here's some footage from her, the hearings about her alleged stalking or harassment case. And it's not going well for Wendy Rogers.
No explanation justifies someone coming to my private residence, whether or not I answer their inquiry on text.
How many times have you run for public office in the state of Arizona?
Objection relevance.
I promise I'll tie it up, Your Honor.
No, I'll allow it.
Are we counting primary and general or cycles?
Anytime that there will be a name on a ballot.
I will generalize that answer to say I have run in 6 cycles.
And during those cycles, I presume you had campaign staff.
It would depend on the scope of the campaign, but I'm a frugal campaigner, so very few staff, if any.
Did you go out and search for votes yourself?
Affirmative. I've knocked on tens of thousands of doors, more than you can imagine.
Did all those people invite you to knock on their door?
I staff, if any.
Did you go out and search for votes yourself?
Affirmative. I've knocked on tens of thousands of doors, more than you can imagine.
Did all those people invite you to knock on their door?
I went as a campaigner, and they could have said to leave if possible. What I would do is leave my card and identify myself as someone who is campaigning for office.
From the top rope. Because her claim is that just showing up at her house uninvited is harassment. But by that, like the door-to-door salesperson, the Jehovah's Witnesses, fucking your neighbor if they're like wondering if everything's okay because they haven't seen you in a little while. Fucking anybody, somebody that knocks on your door thinking they're at a different house, they're harassing you too. Good fucking job, attorney there. She was like, she's like, that was the you got me. Here's a little bit more from that hearing. So fucking great. So fucking great. I could listen to that particular piece of audio over and over again because it was just so obvious. It was just hanging out there. Just the question just was hanging out there. She had to know, well, maybe she didn't have good attorneys. Who knows? Maybe she had Mike Lindell hire her attorneys.
Investigative reporting is a legitimate purpose. It just is. And you may not like the questions that are asked to you, and you went through you achieved having her not contact you at your desk in the Senate. You achieved that in the Senate. Investigative reporting is a legitimate purpose. So I don't think there is a series of events, a series of acts directed at Senator Rogers that would cause a reasonable person to be seriously alarmed, annoyed, or harassed. Doesn't meet the reasonable person test to me, and there was a legitimate purpose in my mind, so I'm going to dismiss this.
It didn't even matter. They didn't even need that question. I'm pretty sure that was going to be dismissed because what the judge said is right. Like, an investigative reporter will knock on your door if you're a public figure. You can choose not to answer the door. But my take is I think she answered the fucking questions too. So it's not like she was like hippity hoppity, get off my property or whatever the fuck. She like answered the questions and then didn't like basically how the reporting was done after that. That's amazing. So in case you're unaware, the Wisconsin State House is controlled by demons. I don't know if you knew this, but we're, everything old is new again, and we're doing more satanic panic shit. Here we go. This is from Right Wing Watch. So as always, shout out to Right Wing Watch. I like their disclaimer. I should have this at the beginning of my show.
When you come to this building, there's demons in those walls. The only way they go away is by this. That's the only way. And when you're not here, those demons are laughing at you for not being here. They're saying,
okay, so real quick, the music that's playing in the background, by the way, is Sean Feucht. Sean Feucht's band is giving him some mood music.
We'll give you the laws that you want. We'll violate the 10 Commandments. We'll do whatever it takes to make you guys think you're happy. Mental disease is on the rise. It has proliferated this nation. It's the #1 issue in the state of Wisconsin and in this country. How did it get that bad that fast? Godless laws that Republicans and Democrats are giving you because that's what you wanted as a society. God is not Republican or Democrat. He is pure love. He loves Republicans. He loves Democrats. He loves sinners. He especially loves sinners. And I made a promise that I wasn't going to let God, I promised to God that I wasn't going to lose my faith in this building. And I could tell you, I get tempted. And I said just recently, I said, the battle is getting, in the last 6 years that I've been here, the battle is getting so intense. Where are the pastors 6 years, where are they? And I can tell you, those pastors this session, they're in the building every single week. Amen. Thank you, Lord, for bringing us prayer.
I mean, to be fair, the Lord didn't bring you prayer. That's amazing. So this is part of a larger event. I'm actually going to add the Sean Fucked event to the end of the docket for Red Light tonight. I try to make it 2 hours during the show without taking a break, but I can't do it this week. Got to take a break real quick. Everybody hang out. We're going to play a song. Don't worry, we won't play something sad. We'll play something fun. Let's play, a little bit of disco by our friends over at Kenny Thomas and the Southern Baptist. Haven't played this song in quite a while. This song is called Wavelength. I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll finish what we can of the docket and head on into Red Light in about a half an hour. Again, that little bit of disco was Kenny Thomas and the Southern Baptists. Look them up on all the platforms. Their other music is real good, real funky too. You got to probably have them on for an interview. But back to the news, unfortunately, or the news that we cover. Maybe this isn't just the news here, right? It's something else that we do here on Sundays. So Maricopa County has a lot of problems, but now fucking Laura Loomer showed up there. Great, right?
Hey everybody, Laura Loomer here reporting from Washington, D.C. in front of the International Spy Museum, covering the secret election summit that I've been reporting on, this exclusive story that I broke on my Substack about this summit being hosted by a group called CEIR, that stands for the Center for Election Innovation and Research. It was founded by a radical left-wing activist who receives funding from George Soros and Mark Zuckerberg. His name is David Becker, and inside the International Spy Museum today, elections officials, who knows, maybe your own Secretary of State, maybe your own Supervisor of Election is meeting inside this museum behind closed doors at a secret summit that is invite only, in a total lack of transparency. And what are they discussing? They're discussing the 2024 presidential election. Hey Bill, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That man has the unfortunate name of Bill Gates, spelled differently. He's the head of the Board of Supervisors for Maricopa County, Arizona, where Sore Loser Lake has been throwing a big fit, and where Wendy Rogers, who just embarrassingly got her case dismissed, they're all from there, I think.
Laura Loomer, and I was wondering, as a Republican and an election official in Maricopa County, why are you attending a partisan conference hosted by David Becker, who is funded by Mark Zuckerberg and George?
Yo, you're blocking his way.
Can you answer the question? Because you're in the middle of litigation right now. You're in the middle of litigation right now with Carrie Lake. Bill? You're in the middle of litigation right now with Carrie Lake. Don't you find it to be inappropriate?
Kids on that side.
Last name.
Are you related to Bill Gates? But this is you though. But your name is Bill Gates. Oh my
Bill, you're in the middle of litigation with Carrie Lake right now. You're supposed to be nonpartisan, Bill.
He is a partisan. He's a Republican.
If you enjoyed this report, or you want
that wasn't really a report.
Please be sure you subscribe to my Substack today. You can subscribe at Laura Loomer.
No, don't subscribe to her Substack today.
It's free to subscribe, but if you want to support my independent journalism, you can always upgrade your subscription to $7.
No, don't do that.
$70 per year. Also, please be sure that you're
this is just a commercial for Laura Loomer. We're not watching the rest of this.
At Laura Loomer so that you never miss any.
Yeah, no more of the commercial for Laura Loomer. I feel sorry for that guy, mostly because his name is Bill Gates, and everybody's freaking out about Bill Gates during the pandemic, or during the height of the pandemic. People still be freaking out about Bill Gates. And to be honest, Bill Gates is kind of a piece of shit. But, he generally presided over what we've watched Maricopa County Board of Supervisors meetings, and he's done a pretty good job of just being kind of just the facts and letting people at the Board of Supervisors meetings talk. I don't see what the problem is. I mean, they just don't like the outcome. They don't like that Sore Loser Lake lost. And she keeps filing lawsuits, but none of them even seem to be going anywhere. Anyway, up next is education expert Kirk Cameron on the One America News Network.
The target is always children. And that's why God gave children to parents, not to governments, not to woke institutions that are then staffed and manned by those who want to undermine the faith and values that made America great and that advanced the good. So we shouldn't be surprised that nefarious forces are targeting children, because the goal is ultimately the collapse of the family and the killing of God.
Wait, how that'd be a neat trick.
Because what that does is it so destabilizes our moral and societal structures that it can then be replaced and reorganized with something different, like progressive, socialist, communist ideas. And that has always been the plan.
All right. I thought the plan was like just to educate kids and to some extent, like hopefully teach them to be good people and decent members of society. But, I'm not an education expert like Kirk Cameron is. So who fucking knows? It's just weird. Every once in a while, that guy fucking pops his head up and says something stupid. And we're here for it. If people remember during Red Light, we were watching some Kirk Cameron videos for a while, and then we got bored with it because fucking just not that interesting of a maniac, to be perfectly honest. Here's one Mr. Jimothy Dore. He's gonna talk about Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, and like Lance from the Surf said in this post, I also had no idea that he had gotten this transphobic.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like this transgender. There used to be joke. So there used to be a joke when, and I used to do when I was in high school, college. You would just say that I'm a lesbian trapped in a man's body. That used to be a joke.
Have you looked at?
But it wasn't a funny joke. That was a hack joke.
But now there are people who are biological males who say they transition to being a female, but they're still into females. That was a joke from the 1980s.
But it was hack material then.
Well, here's a great punchline to it. In fact, I fully support it. So lots of lesbian dating apps. There's one that just banned, if you say, hey, I'm a lesbian, I want someone who just like does not have a dick, you're not allowed to say what you don't want on the app. You'll be kicked off.
Really?
Because talking about the app called Hers, and that's not true. The app, you're not allowed to like be hateful to trans women on the app. You can state your preference that you would like to meet or date someone with a vagina.
Won't put a statement. It's the statement. We support every kind of lesbians. The ones. So now it's called Her, I think, but it's on lesbian dating apps. There's now more lesbians with full dick and balls than there are, the lesbians.
No.
Yep. It's been going on for a while.
I'll say this about, again, I'm super supportive of trans. I always have been. Should not be discriminated against in employment, work, love, and no matter what, and also be treated with dignity and respect. But when I watch Dylan Mulvaney, is that the person's name? I feel like she's doing an
Oh, you know her name, Jimmy.
Impression of what she thinks a girl, not a woman, because she often talks about herself as a girl.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you're a middle-aged biological male. You're not a girl.
Also,
that's not how.
I bet we could find dozens, if not hundreds, of clips of Jimmy Dore referring to adult women as girls.
The way
I had to train myself out of doing that.
Any acts is not the way women act that I've seen. So I'm not saying she's not a woman. I'm just saying that it appears to me that she's doing an impression of a woman.
Well,
am I allowed to say these things? I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this.
Well, you are, which is, I mean, that's the.
I think she's better than.
So just not on the lesbian dating app.
As they say, she's 100. She's 105% woman, if you know what I mean.
But
no, I don't know what you mean. But it's none of that was funny. Your joke from the 80s wasn't funny. It wasn't funny then. Like that wasn't like a joke comedians were telling. That was a joke that like people would tell, or not even a joke. Like they'd meet a lesbian and be uncomfortable or whatever, and be like, oh, I like women too. I'm kind of like a lesbian. And I mean, that was fine. I figured that was probably fine. Anyway, here's Tim Pool. Because, of course, here's Tim Pool. A neo-Nazi kills a bunch of people, and Tim Pool just blames multiculturalism.
About the slain Texas Mall massacre suspect, Mauricio Garcia. Garcia, who had a tactical vest, was armed with a rifle and a handgun. A senior law enforcement official said. Authorities said he was a suspected neo-Nazi sympathizer. Now, this story it's a tragedy. It's unfortunate. And we have, unfortunately, too many of these stories that end up happening in the media.
Wait, no, this story didn't happen in the media, Tim. This is a thing that happened to people, Tim. It didn't just happen in the media. This is like, I joke around about having content brain, but this is content brain here. This is a disgusting manifestation of content brain. People were summarily executed for no fucking reason, and Tim's like, oh, there's a story happening in the media. No, motherfucker, it happened to people. Some of them aren't people anymore because they dead.
End up hitting the media. So, I mean, the first thing I just want to say before we get into any of the politics from either side is, we don't want these things to happen. We want these things to stop. We need to figure out what the issue is in our society, in our culture. I genuinely believe it's disassociation. It is a dejected society where individuals don't know or care about each other, and they seek validation or they seek to push some extremist ideology. And then this whole thing creates a recipe for disaster. And I'll put it simply, I think it's multiculturalism. And not the idea that people of all different types are holding hands on the rainbow. It's that you have different communities stacked on top of each other and next to each other with wildly different views, and they don't like each other. And then people who are crazy will do crazy things.
So that was also a dig at like density, a dig at cities. But the thing is, like, cities have been getting safer since the 90s. A little uptick in crime, sure, but cities are where people go to get rid of these prejudices. They don't even know that that's why they're going to the city in some cases, but you just find, like, per capita, you're going to find a lot less people in a big city that even know what religion their neighbors are, or even know, like, what, like, country of origin their neighbors' ancestors come from, right? They're just like, that's just Bobby. Like, my neighbor, that's Bobby. I don't really know him that well. That's a city for you. Don't give a fuck where Bobby goes to church, if he does or doesn't. Like, that's cities. And that's, like, even denser suburbs for the most part. Like, this isn't, people living together in dense places tend to form solidarity and tend to no longer hold these prejudices. If they hate each other, they might have a good reason, but it ain't. It's generally, cities are just like far less prejudice. That's why like gay people move to cities. Like, I wouldn't want to not live in a city, or at least, like, I live in like a suburb. South San Jose is basically a suburb, but it's, you know, it's a city. I wouldn't want to live not in the city. Anyway, here's Barry Weiss's fake university. They put out a new video, and this doesn't really make a lot of sense. First of all, there's no calipers. I don't see any phrenology calipers in this video, so they're leaving that on the table. But here's why one Polaris fellow quit McKinsey.
There's a Hebrew phrase called en brera, which means there's like no other way. There's no other option. You know, I could just stay at a corporate job and retire into the sunset and take less risk or whatever. But it's just so boring. Why live in a world and not be able to point to this exists because of me? My name is Ezra. I'm a 2023 now Polaris Fellow. I was fortunate enough to be a part of Forbidden Courses last summer. I'm trying to be the longest running UATX student. When I graduated and I found myself at McKinsey, I found that you couldn't really openly ask a question. It also just kind of felt like...
When you just get out of school and then you go work at McKinsey, McKinsey is a tough gig to get. When you just graduate college and you get that gig at McKinsey, yeah, you keep your head down for a while. Keep your head down and be... Like, you competed with other people to get a prestigious job, and now you're like mad that they're not listening to everything you say there. Like chat saying, this does have some Scientology ad vibes, doesn't it?
People would say things to be a part of the like crowd. I felt like there wasn't a critical thinking element, so I was really craving this environment. When I went to Forbidden Courses, I just took time away from work, and it was like, I don't know, it felt like alive again. The types of conversations that we had didn't end. I think,
damn, it's all dudes.
Could just continue talking through lunch and then late into the night. And the friends that I have made, I kept in touch with. I don't think I've met a more valuable group of people, just like the quality of the people, that they're genuine and that they're kind, and that they're working really hard and doing some amazing things. I have just never really been so proximate to people that can enable creating a business and scaling it and making it really successful. So I feel as though being a part of this takes away the sense of like limitation on what you can achieve.
Well, it's the University of Austin in Texas, not the University of Texas at Austin, by the way. Two completely separate entities, but the confusion there works maybe in the favor of the people who started it. This is Barry Weiss's grift. I'm gonna pull up a meme I made about this real quick. I don't usually do this during the podcast because people like watching listening on the like Spotify and shit don't really get it. But here's my take on University of. Oh, let's Control C. Open a new tab here. Just learn how to use a computer here, everybody. Here's when I found out about this, I was like, oh. The University of Austin. There's calipers right next to it, and it says if the staff was good enough for the kids at Epstein Island, they're good enough for your kids too. Because a lot of crossover, at least on the initial people they said were involved with Epstein's flight logs. So, Yeah, it's not even really a university. I don't think it's accredited, and they just have these like rich white kids go and talk about how they don't like working at McKinsey. My God, one of the most prestigious firms in their sector doesn't just want to hear your opinion about everything. Doesn't matter how good or bad a place you work at is. It's like the height of delusions of grandeur to assume that everyone at that place needs to hear your fucking opinion. Just not really a likely scenario. Up next, surprisingly enough, not a professor or teacher at the university, at the Austin University, Texas, or whatever the fuck they called it. It's Candace Owens, and I just put on my docket. It was like, whatever, Candace. So I don't know what she said here, but we're gonna find out together.
Tennessee Girl 79 said, I'm proud of you, Candace. Not that I'd expect anything less. What we need is more people standing up to these entitled brats and woke idiots. I have a friend with Tourette syndrome, and that is not how they behave. Nobody with Tourette's thinks about being TikTok famous. That is correct. Before she began all of this, she said, I'm going to be TikTok famous to the police officer, and calmed down. Suddenly, her mental illness seemed to get into check when I yelled at her. And we need more public shame. I'm a big believer in public shame.
What?
And I'm glad that you guys got to see the circumstance happen, because just so you know, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I am the #1 Karen in society. I go around and I shame people perpetually in public because the way that they behave, especially at airports, there's just no decorum. It needs to be shamed. More shame, guys, not less of it. So
she told a story. I don't know if her story's true about like whoever wrote into her. Like, I didn't go and look at the video, but my guess here is that like someone who suffers with Tourette's was being abused maybe by a police officer and said, they said just popped off at the mouth because their phone was running. They're like, you're going to make me TikTok famous with what you're doing here. And that's, like I said, if you're being arrested, shut the fuck up. We said that very beginning of this show, but that's not really incriminating, I don't think. So I don't know what Candace is doing right there. I guess, she's like, we should be shaming people with disabilities for talking back to the cops. I mean, I guess. Okay. Sure. Ooh, we're almost there. We're 13 minutes to red light, everybody. We're going to make it. We're going to make it. Also, no Nick Fuentes this week in red light, I don't think. Here's Tiny Dancer Ben Shapiro, nuclear proliferation expert.
Jen says, hey, Ben, thanks for everything you do. As a Japanese guy, the growing aggressions of China, North Korea, and Russia are very concerning. My question regards Japanese defense. When the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe mentioned that Japan should consider hosting U.S. nuclear weapons, the current Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida, denied it, openly said he would not even consider it. I personally thought it was a stupid move because whether we actually host it or not, I think it might restrain China and other enemies from making aggressive military action if Japan starts discussing it. Do you think?
Except that China might think that Japan having a bunch of American nuclear weapons just kind of sitting there would be an act of aggression by the United States.
Japan should host U.S. nuclear weapons at this point. What else can the Japanese government do to protect the territory and other allies from countries like China and North Korea? I always enjoy your show in Japan. I'm looking forward to hearing your answers. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Japan should do that. First of all, I think realistically speaking, the United States extending its nuclear umbrella to include allies like Japan is a smart move, because otherwise, eventually, those countries are going to look at China and say, we'll get a nuke on our own. By the way, this is what many countries have done when they don't feel sufficiently protected by the United States' nuclear umbrella.
Yeah, they just nuke other countries on their own.
Developed in secret a nuclear program is because they did not feel protected from their Arab neighbors. And so they developed a nuclear weapons program in secret. You're seeing a lot of countries right now who are attempting to ramp up their nuclear program specifically because they feel insecure. Insecurity breeds nuclear proliferation. One way of preventing nuclear proliferation is extending America's nuclear umbrella.
He's just describing an escalation of tensions with China right there. That's not smart. Like, I'm not good on foreign policy. I'm just going to say that it seems like if I was working in the Chinese government, maybe in their defense department or the equivalent, whatever they call their defense department, we're like, hey, it looks like the Americans have put a bunch of nuclear capable missiles in Japan, and then they would say, well, we better respect America. No, you're gonna fucking ramp your own shit up. This is how fucking wars start. Anyway, we got two more. We might not even make it till exactly 9, but that's okay. Here's Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh has got some thoughts about fucking ice skating.
The organizations, NFL and NHL, are both certainly a lot less manly today than they were even 10 years ago, certainly 30 years ago.
Yo, you know what? I would love to. I mean, dude, the NHL is like the organization where you can just get in a fight in the middle of the game and they just let you. I don't think that's toxic masculinity. But I mean, Matt Walsh, maybe think a little bit about yourself before you start doing this.
But if we were having this conversation 10 years ago, before the NHL started doing Pride Nights and all the rest of it, then maybe you can make an argument for that.
Oh yeah, like say what you want about San Jose, but it's a very queer friendly place. The tickets for Pride Night that happened during Pride Week or around Pride Week, I think here in San Jose, to go to the San Jose Sharks game, they're hard fucking tickets to get.
NHL, but now, and the NFL went woke too, but not to that level. Like the NFL teams aren't doing Pride Nights.
You're probably wrong. I bet the San Francisco 49ers do something for Pride.
Where they got to wear the rainbow uniforms and everything else.
Are there hockey players wearing rainbow uniforms? I don't think this is true. I'm not a hockey expert.
So NFL wins out for that alone. NHL is Pride Nights. NFL doesn't at this point. So NFL wins. Then we talk about the sports. And yeah, on hockey, you've got, first of all, fighting after the play is part. I mean, that's cool. The fact that you could just beat the hell out of each other.
But Matt, if anybody even laid a finger on you anywhere, you would drama queen about it forever. Just forever.
It's nothing to do with what's actually happening on the. I don't know. I've never watched hockey, but I guess two.
Wait, he has someone there listening to you? Is that his therapist?
It's understood that that's what you're going to do. So that's cool. You don't have that as much in football, but at the same time, I got to deduct points based on the fact that you are on ice skates, which is a little bit. You know, it's like that's what figure skaters use.
No, those are different kinds of ice skates, but also, has anybody here ever tried ice skating? I have. I fell down a lot. That hurt, and also like the muscles in my legs hurt from trying to hold myself up. What is he talking about? Ice skating is hard.
And it's a little bit sort of dainty, you know, you're ice skating around.
Yes, that's what I think of when I think of hockey as dainty.
You can never be fully manly on ice skates or it's like on rollerblades. How manly? you could do a version of I mean, roller hockey's a thing, right? And that could be fun, I guess, but you're still in rollerblades. So,
oh, dude, this guy was this. I guarantee you that this guy's of the right age. This guy was big into rollerblades. You know, I like his fucking guest is just like, is that his guest or I know it probably isn't, but I'd like to believe that's his therapist. Yo, like hockey, like I think it's bad actually that there's fights during hockey. I don't think that should be a part of the game. I think it like sets a bad example for kids who are sports fans. But the idea that the hockey players are dainty, even though like the sport is less violent than it once was, it ain't dainty. Part of the game is you just get going as fast as you can and smash into whoever is controlling the puck so that somebody else on your team can get the puck from them. Dainty ain't the word that I would use to describe that. It's a high contact sport. Probably the impacts are less frequent, but probably more dramatic than football because you can get going a lot faster on them fucking skates than you can running. Like that was just dumb. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I was kind of fucking. That was just dumb. Yeah, I would like to. Teach him how to ice skate first, right? Like, you know, let him learn to skate first, and then put Matt Walsh and have him go easy on him. Have him go easy on him. Maybe like, is there a high school ice hockey team that he could go try to play with? So maybe the rules are a little less violent. I don't know. Anyway, we got one more. We got Dave Rubin and some other IDW type ghouls. They're championing free speech, and they're doing it in Hungary. They're in Budapest, talking about how Hungary is a bastion of free speech, which is crazy town.
So I was taken to meet this guy, Peter Kreko, who was a liberal, an outspoken anti-Orban figure, but by all accounts, an honest man. So he's a professor. I sat down with him in his office and said, why are you against the government? He said, well, I think it's corrupt, and plus I'm in favor of...
why are you against the government?
Same-sex marriage. This government is not. But on the trans thing, I'm just not sure. And then we went on to talk about other things. At the end of the conversation, he said, but you know, in the end, I can stand here in my classroom in Budapest and say whatever I want about the government and no one will bother me. I said, Peter, that's really interesting, because in the United States, you could say anything you wanted about anything and the government won't bother you. But if you said what you did at first, that you're in favor of same-sex marriage, but you're just not sure about trans, you would probably have some students who would report you to the administration, say they had been harmed. You would have to be in a star chamber defending your job. And if
I'm just not sure.
You would never work again. So who has more freedom, Peter? You here in Orban's Hungary or your counterpart in America? It just had not occurred to him.
Yeah, that's like all these professors who have people are getting mad at. They're just like, I just don't have enough information really on this matter. And then fucking everybody loses their mind. That's what's going on, right, everybody? I just don't know. I'm not up to date on this, man. This, that's not my area of study. I don't think that's what people are getting canceled for. In fact, it's I think that's pretty. I'd be fine with that if I was like at a dinner party and I brought it up and somebody's like, "Oh, I just haven't really looked into it. I don't know that much about it," and I'd be like, "Oh, okay," and I'd just fucking let it go. Dinner party, classroom, whatever. I think you can actually get away with saying I don't know here in the United States. I feel like there's no problem telling people you don't know that you don't have enough information about a certain matter. I don't think professors are getting canceled for that. Here's more from that same event.
On top of the fact that it's actually manipulated information in ways that we don't understand, as Elon talked about, not only did the government have access to Twitter, but he also had activists at the company writing code. So he still doesn't know how to unfurl all of that. That when I met with him a few months ago, that was my main takeaway. It's like, it's not just that he had to buy this thing and correct it. He has a ship that is completely rotted on the inside, and he's not even sure if that ship needs to be replaced altogether rather than just fixed.
Yo, Dave Rubin is like, remember when Elon was like, oh, we're going to have to do a complete code rewrite. And then in the space he was in, somebody who was like either currently working for Twitter or a former Twitter employee said, well, what part of the stack don't you like? Well, what part of the stack is the problem? Where are we at? And then Elon fucking was like, because he didn't know shit. He didn't know shit about that. And not for nothing, like all these social media platforms are resting on top of a lot of open source software that the company didn't create. And hopefully they would be better stewards of the open source community by donating more or giving more back, contributing more upstream, giving more of their money. But like the foundational code from Twitter is all open source stuff that people have been working on for decades. And Elon fucking probably didn't even know that. And so when he was asked about like what part of this code are you gonna replace or whatever, he didn't know because he didn't fucking know. And he's not in there trying to fix everything. Elon's not a software engineer. Like, Dave is so fucking dumb. We should be glad, though, that Dave Rubin is really dumb, and I think we're going to leave it there. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out for the podcast part of the show. As always, live viewers, don't go nowhere. We got some great stuff in Red Light, actually. We have another cop video of cops and goats. We got Trump won by 19 million votes. We got Buy Stock in Lindell TV. We got the real reason Bed Bath & Beyond went out of business. We got QAnon and disinformation. We got Alex Jones talking about false flags and drone strikes. And then, of course, JFK Jr. doing a bit of a Scientology and talking about SSRIs and mass shootings. And as always, this would be Boomers by Periscope. Change the contents of my drink, change the colors of the lighting in this room, and we'll be back with Red Light.